A Beast Requires. Prologue. Last week in the God's Urinal. When the moon was black and the fog rolled in, he stalked the streets with a toothy grin. The gods did tremble for old Smiling Jack as he waved his blade with a snicked and snacked. The Seven Loves of Smiling Jack. Act 1, Scene 1, Violet Plague. Skipping across the forgotten masonry and avoiding the pools of ancient stagnation, the hero's gleeful harmony echoed the enchanted walls. "Why, I say," he sang, "hurroo, hooray, trilloo, trillay, with talking bones and slimy stones, against the odds and the piss of gods, oh!" He paused, staring down to his boots teetering over the abyss's edge. "Whatever it is that rhymes with trillay." "I believe," the reassuring tone of his oldest friend Clarence called from the darkness, "the line you are looking for is, 'Oh, what a momentous day.'" "That's silly," he leapt the murky abyss. "Why, up there's the middle of the night." "I know," groaned Clarence, trudging out of the darkness. "What are we doing again?" The hero grimaced. "We are not doing anything. I am going out to practice." He patted the curved blade nestled under his sleeve. "I can't keep slashing at air," he bit his lip and mumbled, "and I've already mastered carrying it." Clarence trembled, afflicted with reluctance since their youth. "You certain?" A glow flickered off in the distance. "Always. You can stay here if you like." A grin curled his lips. "I imagine things will be getting a bit messy." "I shall remain here, then, for you to finish." Clarence didn't have the stomach for bloodshed, let alone the temperament for violence. "I wouldn't want to slow your progress." "Very thoughtful of you." He drew to a halt, basking in fragmented light. This is where the world waited for him, an entrance his magic keys granted. Nervous excitement twisted his insides. Taking a deep inhale, he nestled the blade under his sleeve. "Come now, Clarence, you mustn't scowl. I will return. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to see a woman about some socks." The thick fog of early spring embraced him, carrying a pungency of rotting fish and salt. Even in this late hour, the streets were far from silent. Voices slurred with libations, echoing from silhouettes stumbling behind stone walls. They were easy to ignore. The pounding from his chest drowned out their distant carousing. This was his moment. The beast's demise was imminent. There was still his lack of experience in wielding the blade. One did not simply walk up to the beast. Many had tried, and all they found was a gruesome end. They weren't worthy. The world no longer had heroes. They'd grown addled with routine, addicted to daily rituals, and lethargic with the comforts of consistency. These days, all men were cowards. True greatness was required to slay the beast. He'd be like Smiling Jack, stealthy, patient, and know how to properly conceal a weapon up one sleeve. That difficult lesson had taken him over a week to figure out, but glory came with scars. Glorious was what this adventure was. One only made possible by the whispers in his ear each night. Like the wind, they called on him to end the beast's tyranny, bestowing him with the tools to meet his quest's completion. Magic keys were rare these days, and magic blades were even rarer. He recognized the length of curved elegance the moment he saw it. This blade was meant for a hero, and at the flick of his wrist the knife glistened with power. It was important. It wanted to be used, and he was happy to oblige. The ground squished beneath cautious steps. He slithered the streets of broken promises, surrounded by tombstones of malicious neglect. It was the beast who permitted such blight to exist, responsibilities ignored with unreasonable fury, a seeping void of empathy. There was no humanity. There was only beast. He had seen this depravity since childhood, horrified at the unspeakable acts committed for the beast's enjoyment. Fools wrapped in ignorance with wine-stained lips fueling their dark desires. That was when he learned the truth about the beast. That was when he swore to someday find the courage to bring it all to an end. Reaching the designated place, the hero waited for the designated time. A figure came into view, standing where light crashed against fog. At their heels, the wafting stink of smoke, sweat, and rotted fruit. Luck was walking with him tonight. They stumbled out alone. Slinking into the deepest shadow, his blade twitched in anticipation. He stayed his breath. This was the first, but not the last. His toothy grin peaked. The beast will soon know death's sleep. It was a good night for Gloria Hole. Her bag hung heavy with coin. With the winter's sky lightening, the storms and the frothing sea dwindled to a breeze. The first merchant fleets of the season carried the ripest of cargoes, thirsty, lovelorn sailors eager to spend their wages. A lengthy voyage left ships bursting with sailors coming ashore for a little docking of their own. Exiting the tilted cod, the rowdy patrons inside belted out another chorus of Pass the Bucket with drunken enthusiasm. By the look of them, there was more coin to be made, but she needed a break. Tomorrow was going to be another long day, and her knees begged for a rest. The aches and pains were worth it, the price of fashion being what it was. Gloria smiled. She prided herself on being a trendsetter. At this rate, she'd have a small fortune by week's end, enough for the latest knee-hugger boots and that floral bonnet she'd been keeping an eye on. They would be the rage this summer, according to her neighbor, Miss Pritch. The retired scrubber had a sharp eye for style, advising to buy early before falling behind the competition. Customers were finicky like that, demanding the latest hats without caring what's underneath. Adjusting her bag, Gloria staggered into the fog. It was a beautiful night, even if it stunk like month-old stew. Few things smelled worse than the city's fog. A latrine behind an orcish restaurant, for one, or sharing a bunk bed with a goblin. But that was a matter of hygiene. Foul odors had nothing on her. She'd developed an immunity. It came with the job, and she was always the consummate professional. Scrubbers had a hard life working the fringes of indecent society. There were only a few years to earn a decent pay before being discarded for the newer models. It was better than being a sock mender, and much easier on her knees. Smelled better, too. Gloria didn't regret leaving. She had to when the working conditions changed. It'd become dangerous to her existence. Even in the dark, she knew the area well. It'd be nice if they'd have those fancy streetlights like across the river. Their light cast away the uncertain darkness, radiating a knowing safety, and she often thought of their warm caress on a moonless night. Licking her chapped lips, she grinned. Streetlights meant lamplighters, and she could do a lot with a crook and oil. Gloria sighed. That wasn't her lot in life. Those with good money wanted a fancy frill, someone with proper guild credentials. Maybe someone exotic, like an elf that does the rope and basket trick, or a hairless whirler. She couldn't compete with that, especially with her knees. Gloria whistled the jaunty chorus from Past the Bucket. Damn, she pouted. That song's going to be stuck in my head all night. Best to sleep it off. She clutched the tassels of her shawl, hurrying home until a soft clatter caught her attention. Hello? She whispered, hoping to find a pile of trash settling. Is anyone there? Meow. A deep, soothing tone beckoned from the alley. Gloria exhaled relief. Nothing more than a street cat enjoying a snack, a large one by the sound of it. Growing up, she'd heard about big cats prowling the alleys late at night, but had never seen one. The ladies would be so surprised if she brought one home, especially Sobby Hart. That sour clam swore big cats roaming alleyways was a load of shit, and wouldn't she be surprised when Gloria came home with an urban cougar? She stumbled forward, forming a plan to show up that nasty tart and give her a few scars to boot. Here, kitty, kitty, called Gloria in a gentle, reassuring tone. Bending over and inching closer, she reached in her bag for a little fish oil. The strays around Fishtown sure did, so all cats should crave it. Drawing in, she rubbed imaginary custard between fish-scented fingers. Here, kitty, kitty. She took another step, right into a pair of shit-covered boots. Meow, went the boots. Kitty? Gloria tilted her head, eyes trailing up the shimmering fabric to outstretched sleeves. Something slender and shiny poked from a cuff, catching a glimmer of moonlight. This was a bit awkward, since cats didn't usually wear boots or dress in gray with knives up their sleeves. Kitty? Asked Gloria with widening eyes. She knew the empty gaze staring out of the darkness. It was the gaze that lived in her nightmares. Well, fuck, she grumbled as the blade went snicked.